Hey everybody, it's Chris with Invest LYH, and I just wanted to do a quick video on why David Green leaving bigger pockets is going to have no impact on my real estate education. And if you haven't heard the news, David Green and the other host there, who I don't even know his name, they left bigger pockets. There was a dispute there between the organization and the hosts, and now I think at least David Green is starting his own channel. And I just wanted to explain to you guys from my perspective of why will have no impact on my real estate education. And to do that, I'm going to show you a couple books. First is this book here. It's called The Wealth of Nations. You can see that it is well read. I mean, I've got highlights in it all over. This book was published in 1776. And this book, Adam Smith, is considered the godfather of capitalism because he was able to determine using this book how to divide markets up and in order to measure them and study output. The next one is Principles of Economics, and this is by Alfred Marshall. Marshall took this book and gave it some graphic formats so that we could read in a picture how things work out in the economy. And Alfred Marshall, he was not 1776, originally published in 1920, I believe, somewhere around there. So either late 1800s, early 1900s. I'm not concerned with that. I know this one because it's the same year as the founding of the US. And then I wanted to show you this book. I got this book a long time ago. The Millionaire Real Estate Investor goes through a ton of different things in it. It's kind of like a how-to guide on how to develop an investment strategy and work through that investment strategy as an investor. So why do I say that? Because this has been around for years, and yet a lot of people create different books. I'm looking to see if I have another one over here on this book explaining how it's right or explaining how it's wrong, meaning this is the foundational text. So when we talk about education in real estate, we have to understand that there are a few foundational texts. Currently, I believe this is one of the foundational texts. This is a great book to use for that. There's a couple other ones. This is another one here, Hold, that I have. I mean, this one, I don't know if I have any highlights in it, but I've read this a few times because I'm a buy and hold investor. Okay. A couple other ones out there. A lot of people like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm not as big a fan of Rich Dad, Poor Dad as I am the cash flow quadrant, understanding where money's coming from. These are all foundations. And when you have a foundation, then you can build off of that. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen and tell you guys, just give you a few examples of where to get your real estate education. Because like I said, my education is not going to change because I already know where I'm getting it from. And I have not got it from bigger pockets in many years. So let's take a quick look. Give me a second here. And just so you guys know, I'm just going to draw it on here. Okay. Right. You have your foundational text, right? And you build on that with different types of strategies. Okay. Strategy 1, strategy 2, strategy 3. And you kind of see how far they can go up based on your market. And then you say, okay, this one's working. Opportunity costs, which is an economic principle, means these two are not, which means I focus on this one until I reach a certain threshold. 40 doors, 10K a month in income, things like that. So where do I get my education in real estate now? Well, there's a couple of guys that I listen to on a regular basis, and I'm going to put all this in the information below. Mike Zuber at One Rental at a Time, I Better Make It Purple. is excellent. He actually produces too much content. He probably does about 6 videos a day. Okay. Now, Mike has grown his portfolio over the years, well over 100 units, has significant cash flow, retired himself and his wife. Um, Great. He does a financial news every day, which is a must watch. It's just excellent. Millennial Mike, he is a younger guy. I think he's in his early 30s. He has over 20 units, but when he started, I think he had 0. And he's done all this in 6 years. I think he has over 10K I'm not sure. I'd have to you have to understand, I watch a lot of these videos all day because I work at a job where I can just pop YouTube on while I'm doing my tasks. So, but he's like a new investor, a younger investor who uses like hard money in some cases to get these properties. He's created the slow burr, okay, which is an excellent strategy. That's going to be my next strategy. Dion, he's I don't want to say older, right? He's not older. He's just not as young. He owns, I think, 17 properties. Dion's story is that he started with over $80,000 in debt. And got through it in about 10 years, less than 10 years. I think it was 8 years, but I'm not sure. He does excellent strategies. And he does buy and hold, and he has an understanding that it takes like 2 to 3 years to save a down payment for his market. And he's like, you got to account for that time. Yes, it does suck when you're not moving, but you're saving. But if you do it correctly, it will work out. Matt, the Lumberjack landlord here, he is he has well over 100 units. I think at one point he had like 180. I'm not quite sure. He's excellent at being able to go into a property and rehab it. So anybody who likes to rehab, Matt will look at rehabs and be able to identify cost saving measures, which are his comparative advantage. And one thing about Matt, actually, one thing about Dion, Matt, and Mike, and the reason why they're all grouped together is because, right, we are talking right here about real estate education. Okay. These guys do live streams. And what does that mean? I can ask questions and they answer them. I have asked all 4 of these gentlemen questions and they have answered my questions in real time. I remember asking Matt, the Lumberjack landlord, I remember asking him once about siding versus painting. And he just right off the bat, boom, knew the answer. Right. And the guy's he's done over 100 rehabs, so he knows what he's doing. So those are like those I would say are pretty. I watch them pretty regularly. Another guy I watch is Coach Carson, and he is his thing today is about the small and mighty investor, and what that means is so Dion up there, he has about 17 units, but they all cash flow over $1,000 per unit per month, which means he gets 17K in profit after all expenses are paid per month. So do you want to own 100 units, or do you want to own 17 that give you $17,000 in profit per month? That is everything that Coach Carson talks about. He's traveled overseas with his family while his rentals paid for his lifestyle, and he's developed an entire system on creating the smallest possible portfolio with the maximum amount of profits. A couple other people I watch, Cody Davis, he was on Bigger Pockets at one point. He was, I think he was 21 and he went from 0 to 80. This guy is a master at understanding a deal. And his partner was Christian. Cody and Christian is how I know them. And they started Multifamily Strategies. And Christian now takes over Multifamily Strategies, and he helps develop other people to learn a lot of these different techniques. Now, one thing about Multifamily Strategies is I would say if you are, I mean, anybody can do this. If you don't have a full-time job, or if you, even if you do have a full-time job, but you don't have like ancillary obligations, this, if I didn't teach and if I wasn't going to my PhD, I would be in their program today. I think this program is so powerful at being able to help you scale. It is by far the best program that I've seen out there yet. And I know one thing about Bigger Pockets is they're always trying to sell you something. They're always looking for the sale. I will tell you, Christian and Cody and Multifamily Strategies, they have some sales pitches, but from what I have seen in their programs, they don't need to sell me anymore. I want to do this program. Unfortunately, we talked about it earlier, right? Option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. We know that when we select one, what does opportunity cost tell us? The rest are no longer available. So when I'm investing, when I'm going to school, when I'm teaching, and I'm doing my W-2, unfortunately, I am not able to join, because I know their program requires a commitment. And I want to make the commitment, but I have a goal to earn my PhD. And that right now is more of a priority to me than scaling my portfolio. Let's see, a couple other guys that I watch. Mark, Financial FIREfighter. So these guys are not as well known as some of the guys above. What I would say is these guys are excellent because they are doing what we are doing, what we're trying to do right now. Mark, I scaled a little too fast in 2023, and Mark scaled a little too fast. I was on the phone with him asking him a ton of questions. Okay, what is my from buy to stabilize period? I didn't know. And Bigger Pockets wasn't telling me that. And everybody on Bigger Pockets, they talk about a couple different things that I feel are useless when you're actually in it. He has gone through it. He told me exactly my timetable and what I needed to do to make sure that after my stabilization period, I would get to optimization. Okay. And then at that point, then we are going to kind of flourish a little bit more further. This gentleman here, PE turned RE, he's a teacher, a PE teacher. And his story is very interesting in that if he tells you where he lived for his first house hack, you will be like, I cannot believe you did that. He specializes in Northwest Washington, or in Washington State, in the Northwest. I think he is somewhere around Tacoma. I'm not quite sure. Jack, he does Pittsburgh. And he's doing a flip right now, like a live-in flip right now. So if you have done, or if you're doing a live-in flip, this is your guy to follow. See what he's doing, learn from him. He's going to have these little nuggets that you're going to be able to watch. And you can see here, he has 37 videos. He's not going to be posting a video every day with graphics that say, learn how to go from zero cash flow to $10,000 in cash flow in 2 months. How realistic is that for the everyday investor? And then the MoJo Mindset, these guys are military specialists. They understand the demands that a military person has, and they invest to offset the retirements that they have coming from the military. So they kind of understand that if we were to look at a portion of retirement in the military, you're going to get a certain amount. Well, how do you offset that with real estate and other investments? Because in the military, you are a little different. So I was in the military for a little while. I am not retired. I'm not going to retire from the military. Um, so that's kind of off the table for me, but I still have benefits that I can use. And if you are in the military and you're expecting to retire in the military, you have to understand what the MoJo mindset has to do. And then last, I only got a couple more minutes here. I don't want this to be a ton. A couple other people I would follow. Ned Talk for New Orleans. He just bought. He's a data guy. Okay, so if you're a data person, I would follow him. Ariel is a data lady in Tampa. She's a data lady. She has some great products out there if you wanted to look her up. And then there's a guy that I met with recently here in Virginia, Trade Better 99, and he invests in Akron. He has a very interesting story as well. Battled some health issues, has moved around the country a little bit, so he kind of understands the differences between a market in the Northwest and a market in the Mid-Atlantic. Very interesting guy to talk to figure out. And the idea is that these people that I watch or meet up with here and there, they are all sharing something that is useful. I think sometimes when we look at bigger pockets, what we think about is that they just want to sell books. I just don't know how effective that is. You can read a ton of books, but are you going to take the action? The other thing too, I just wanted to go by real quick is realtors, and some realtors that I've learned from is Logan, Ryan out of Richmond, Bethany, who you guys seen on my channel, and Savannah Dunn out of DFW. So Rich, Western Mass, and Savannah out of DFW. These agents have been instrumental in me understanding not only the national market, but the intricacies that play a role in those markets. And the Richmond one, especially, is very useful for me because we are an offset of the Richmond market. Richmond people will move out, which push people out to Lynchburg. We're about 2 hours away. So anyway, I'm going to stop sharing here and just tell you guys that Bigger Pockets they made a change. I think that they see that their viewership has fallen off a cliff. I do think they're a tad bit salesy, but the forums there are great. I meet a lot of people through the forums, and I think that it is still a viable place to go get an education, but I think YouTube University will be much better for you. You can start with the people that I mentioned here and 5 people in your local area. Just search where you're looking for and real estate investments and see who pops up. So if you guys have any questions for me, please let me know. Thanks.